Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Scorpio June 2018 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is, well, as far as June goes, the Sun will be in Gemini from the 1st until the 21st. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, this could be a strong concentration of energy, focus, and attention put into transformation, regeneration, taxes, insurance, set the sexual partner, intimate relationships, psychology, sex, emotional and moral support, and also monetary support, perhaps. And because it's Gemini, this could be done with Gemini like vivaciousness and very animated fashion, very spirited, lively manner with a lot of joy. But remember that Gemini energy could be very loquacious, and you might find yourself doing more talking about these things than actually doing. And it's also superficial energy, so there might be a lack of persistence in these 8th house matters as well. So anyway, the next thing up is the Sun will be in Cancer as far as June goes from the 21st until the 30th. So the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, there could be a strong concentration of energy, attention, and focus into in-laws, grandchildren, higher education, publishing, traveling abroad, and religion. And this could be done with a lot of Cancerian-like sensitivity, emotion, tenacity, very clinging energy, perhaps a very protective manner, very nurturing, and really showing a lot of care towards this. This could be done with a lot of need for safety and security, like, for example, publishing something to have maybe a little bit of a nest egg for yourself, so to speak, and putting money aside for your latter years, perhaps as an example. And the in-laws and grandchildren, if applicable, you do have them. This could be, you could tend to them with a lot of that sympathetic Cancerian-like energy and a lot of compassion and sensitivity. So anyway, next thing up, the new moon will be in Gemini on June 13th. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, this could be the start of a new Gemini intimate relationship. It could be a strong sexual relationship with a Gemini Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply one that embodies Gemini-like characteristics. In some cases, this could be maybe two people. You might be starting that intimate relationship simultaneously, because Gemini can often do things in twos. And as far as that energy goes, and this could be a lot of maybe a new period of a transformation where it's done through assimilating information, communicating, and really about maybe transforming in the sense of really being more diversified and showing more versatility in general, being more well-rounded in things. And it could be a time where you might show, this could be about a new period of perhaps giving and receiving support in manifold ways, and maybe using some kind of dexterity connected maybe with making some kind of major transformation in your life, doing some kind of work that is connected with this perhaps. So even working out, I mean, that involves the hands right there. So I mean, it could be something connected with that, I believe, as an example. So anyway, the next thing up is the full moon will be in Capricorn on June 28th. So the 3rd house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, this could be, in some cases, this could be like a serious Capricorn type writing comes to a completion or a culmination. It could be something connected with business, politics, government, dentistry, something with information technology. Something that could be Capricorn related. This could also be a time for you where you might become somewhat exasperated, full, so to speak, tired of maybe a limiting or restricting situation with siblings, neighbors, your communications in general, or tired of perhaps maybe a sibling, a neighbor, someone you know in your short journeys that might be exhibiting very authoritative, tyrannical, ruthless, and even very cold and callous maybe qualities at this time. This could also be about a powerful, perhaps emotional expression. It could be very sad emotions regarding third house matters, such as something connected with your short journeys and transportation. It could be a matter with siblings, with neighbors, maybe somebody from your early education, perhaps. And sometimes this could, in some cases, this could be a revelation of maybe just going through some kind of, maybe some despondency in general you're going through. Because remember, the third house does rule the rational mind, rational thinking. So anyway. Next thing up is the Mercury will be in Gemini as far as June goes from the 1st until the 12th. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, this could be a period for Scorpio perhaps of speaking with a lot of eloquence and diction regarding 8th house matters such as astrology, psychology, the occult, supernatural, investigation, even matters connected with death. There might be manifold ideas, and many of them connected with these matters that I was just describing. And also, too, there could be a lot more verbose and eloquent communication, perhaps with the sexual partner and with perhaps someone you might be in an intimate relationship with. Also, to remember that Mercury is also, it's not just about communications. Another thing it's connected with are siblings. So in some cases, this could be about perhaps Gemini, Sun, Moon, Ascendant siblings, or ones that simply embody Gemini-like characteristics might figure more prominently in making a major change or transformation, or maybe even helping you go through some kind of crisis at this time, or maybe might even be maybe the cause of it in some cases. You might be dealing maybe with their crisis at this particular time. And really, this is really about also. Anyway, actually, what I want to say is the next thing up is as far as June goes, Mercury will be in Cancer from the 1st. From the 12th until the 29th. So the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, this could be about being speaking very extemporaneously with in-laws, with grandchildren at this time, and also speaking more emotionally with these people. You might be more sensitive to criticism and ridicule in connection with in-laws and grandchildren, foreigners perhaps at this time. And this could also be a time to remember, as I stated before, that Mercury can also be about siblings, so even cousins. So it could be a time where perhaps Cancerian siblings or cousins, or when I say Cancerian siblings or cousins, Sun, Moon, Ascendant in Cancer people, or ones that simply embody Cancerian characteristics, they might figure more prominently in your religion, perhaps your religious beliefs, maybe a congregation you may be going to, your philosophical outlook, and higher education as well. And you may be doing a lot of contemplating regarding long distance travel, maybe publishing even, and even reminiscing perhaps with in-laws and grandchildren regarding matters, and maybe even with people that you might be friendly with, maybe in a college, university. So anyway. Well, the next thing up is Mercury will be in Leo as far as June goes from the 29th until the 30th. So the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, this could be a time for Scorpio where he or she may be speaking with a lot of authority and conviction regarding career aspirations and goals, and maybe even boasting about what they think they can do in terms of perhaps achieving some kind of notoriety, success, and recognition. And really, this could be a lot more boisterous and very loud, vociferous conversations, perhaps with the dominant parent, which is often the father, and with authority figures as well. You might be dominating conversations with these people as well at this time. And this could also be, remember that the 10th house is also connected with the reputation and public image. So this could be speaking with a lot of self-assuredness and confidence regarding these matters and how really you feel you could really improve in terms of your reputation and really in what you do as far as your public image and how you're seen publicly to others. So anyway, and also notoriety and recognition. So anyway, the next thing up is, well, Venus will be in Cancer as far as June goes from the 1st until the 13th. So the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, there could be a strong value, perhaps of introversion with in-laws, with grandchildren, and perhaps a feeling of really safety and security with these people, valuing this as well. And maybe higher education may play that role in terms of you might be valuing safety and security through receiving higher education and really having for example, so you could have maybe a career where you can make more money, and of course that would be an obvious reason. Now also perhaps expressing feelings of empathy and sympathy for people connected with the 9th house, such as in-laws, grandchildren, maybe even people you're close with at a college, university, maybe a foreigner that you might be friendly with, and really too, this could be about also if you are unattached to Scorpio, this could be a time where you might connect with a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply one that embodies Cancerian characteristics. It might be done, met perhaps through traveling abroad, or maybe somebody that you might know at a college, university, or maybe at some religious congregation perhaps. And also too, you might be loving maybe somebody at this time that maybe, I mean, what I should say actually is, I'm sorry, what I want to say is that there might be really about spending, maybe it's somewhat connected maybe with sympathy. In other words, maybe spending something on somebody, maybe an in-law or grandchild, maybe getting them something due to the fact maybe you do feel sorry for them for whatever reasons, and that gift you think might help elevate their spirits or help them in connection, whatever it is they are feeling despondent about. So anyway, next thing up is Venus will be in Leo as far as June goes, from the 13th until the 30th. So the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, this could be a time where he or she might be a little bit more extravagant than usual, perhaps in terms of trying to improve notoriety, recognition, and the public image. It could be for the career, perhaps. This could be something too where there may be a real expression of enjoyment, perhaps of that Leo-like career, which could be, you know, manifold things. For example, cardiology, something with the theater, acting, maybe even modeling. I think modeling can apply because that is something that's connected with attention seeking, something with the entertainment industry or even sports, and maybe even just enjoyment for those things in general, which, and you might have more of a reputation for that at this time than usual. So anyway, and also too, if you are unattached, Scorpio, it could be a time where you may connect with the Leo, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply one that embodies Leo-like characteristics that could help you, that might factor more prominently in your career than usual, or somebody that may maybe help you in terms of your stature in life, and really in terms of maybe in improving your public image and your reputation at this time, and giving you more success in general. So anyway, also too, this could be about love, showing stronger love than usual toward really loving with a Leo, a dominant parent, perhaps more so than usual, which is often the father, with a lot of Leo-like ferocity, and valuing extroversion as well, and gregariousness, perhaps with people that are prominent in your career, and maybe the dominant parent, even people in positions of authority. Anyway, next thing up, as far as, well, June goes, Mars will be in Aquarius for the month of June. So the 4th house as well be emphasized and highlighted. It will be retro from like the 26th until the 30th. So anyway, this could be a time where you might be experiencing more acrimonious, contentious situations that are connected with family members, people you feel close at home with. They could be unusual arguments. This could be also where you might become angry at maybe idiosyncratic or bizarre behavior from people you feel close to home with and family members, perhaps. Also, this could be a time too where you inject a lot of selfless and humanitarian energy, perhaps, into doing things around the home with family members, perhaps. And also, too, this could be a time where, I mean, when really putting in perhaps it could be sporadic and erratic energy, since we're talking about Aquarius, into getting in touch with your ancestry, your roots, your traditions, perhaps. And also, I mean, given that this is going to be retrograde at the latter part of the month, during that time, you might be going back to something where you were expending some energy or some action connected with maybe something Aquarius like, such as astrology, astronomy, computers, electronics, something innovative, and really going, and it could have been something you felt very close at home with, or doing something at the home, or maybe collaborating with a family member with, and something that you would stop for a little bit, maybe are going back to. Anyway, next thing up is Jupiter will be in Scorpio still, so the first house is will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time for Scorpio, well, this could be a time for Scorpio where he or she might, I mean, remember that Jupiter can be, as I've stated in previous videos, that Jupiter can be paradoxical. It's very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to expand and enlarge. And with Jupiter, and you're talking about the first house energy, well, firstly, it could expand perhaps the general Scorpio characteristics, such as the resiliency of Scorpio, resourcefulness, sexiness, perhaps, maybe even the willful side of Scorpio, the ability to, the really strong, really willpower, the indomitable spirit Scorpio often has. But it could also expand surreptitious and sneaky behavior as well. And remember, the first house is also about our early childhood. So it could be something where it could expand perhaps surreptitious and even nefarious behavior from someone you knew from your early childhood. And also, too, this could be a time where you could have more of a propensity for weight gain at this time than usual, especially if this is actually hitting the first house, the actual first house in one's natal chart. Now, so guard against really dark foods, I would say, could be one thing. And the thing about it is, you could be at times, Scorpio, right now, where you might be more jovial and jocular than usual. Because Scorpio is the sign, this could be a lot more subtle, sarcastic humor. And given that this is going to be in retrograde motion, this could be about a review over profound philosophy connected maybe about yourself in general. It could be about making that major change or personal transformation. And even this could be about going back maybe to a transformation of the physical body, such as working out vigorously, that maybe you stop for some time, and perhaps getting some luck and fortune through doing that, and some exuberance, and doing it with a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm. So anyway, next thing up is the Saturn will be in Capricorn, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted, will be retrograde. Now, at this time for Scorpio, he or she may experience some restrictions and limitations in their communications. It could be some restrictions connected with their short journeys, perhaps, maybe trying to get in contact with people they knew from their early education. This could also be about, in some cases, where you might be taking care of a debilitated sibling or neighbor, or somebody that you know and prominent in your short journeys, and it could be something connected with the bones, the knees, or the joints, and it might be making you feel somewhat despondent and melancholy having to do this. And also, too, given that this is going to be retrograde, this could be a time where you might be reviewing perhaps serious responsibilities to your communications, perhaps to your transportation, your short journeys, maybe your siblings and neighbors at this time. And really, and two, this could be a time too where you might be maybe coming across a little bit more despondent and melancholy than usual, because this is the sad planet and we're talking about the third house, and it's connected, of course, with the rational thinking, the rational mind. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Uranus will be in Taurus. So the seventh house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, for Scorpio, well, this could be a time where this could be about the formulation, perhaps, of new financial plan. Perhaps that might be you might do with others, or it could be with a business partner, perhaps, or a significant other. And also, too, I mean, this could be a time too for Scorpio where perhaps financial fluctuations might impact your relationships. It might be more difficult if you're trying to pay for some kind of legal expenses at this time. And if you're unattached, Scorpio, there might be a time where you might actually connect perhaps with maybe a Taurus, perhaps foreigner at this time, or maybe innovator, or somebody connected with astrology or innovation, computers, electronics, or maybe just somebody that embodies Taurus-like characteristics. Now, it could be too that maybe your Taurus friendships factor more into maybe matters maybe might be there to assist you, maybe if, for example, dealing with open adversaries at this time. So, and really, and your relationships in general might be a little bit more sporadic and erratic than usual. So anyway, next thing up is, well, Neptune will be in Pisces. So the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, well, he or she might be dealing with some deception and duplicity connected with children and matters of the heart. It could even be self-deception. And be careful, Scorpio, this time you're not deluding yourself in matters connected with speculation and trying to invest in something that might be too good to be true, that sounds really good superficially. It's important to read the fine print during this time in those instances. You might feel at this time that maybe a love connection at this time, or a relationship with a child, someone that might be prominent in your fun, your amusement, your hobbies, that connection might be dissipating and dissolving at this time. It could even be where at this time you might be enjoying perhaps more Neptunian-like things, such as doing something connected with fantasy, such as Dungeons and Dragons, or even like fantasy sports, perhaps, or playing like fantasy baseball. Something where I think too some other things that could be connected with Neptune that you might be doing in terms of fun and enjoyment, or hobby. Could be video games, perhaps. Something connected with the metaphysical, which includes astrology, chemistry, photography, could be some things. So anyway, and also at this time, that lovers and even children might be a little bit more nebulous and unclear at this time, and might even succumb to drugs and or alcohol as well at this time. So it's just something to look at as a possibility at this time. There's a little greater propensity for this than with other placements. So anyway, than with a lot of other placements, I should say, as far as transits go or what have you. So anyway, next thing up is Pluto will be in Capricorn, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, well, this could be in some cases, and I mean, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but you know I'm going to do it anyway, that in some cases it could be the literal death of a cousin, a sibling, a neighbor, somebody prominent in your short journeys. It could be somebody that perhaps you knew from your early education. And also too, now in some cases you might be going through, an actual transformation, maybe with the way you're speaking, for whatever reason. I mean, if you're an older person as well, it could be a time for some kind of, there might be some transformation in association with the way you might be talking at this time. A lot could depend on aspects, if it's making some negative adverse aspects to points in your chart. I mean, say if it makes an adverse aspect to your natal Mercury, this could be really a change that that's something that you may not want to have to do, such as using a voice transform, but something that may have to be done. So and if it's making a positive aspect to, say, like Mercury or Jupiter, this could be more auspicious and more of a better, maybe a change for your better somehow in the way that you may be speaking, and maybe you're able to become maybe more fluent in maybe a foreign language, for example. So anyway. And anyway, too, it's also important. I mean, looking at this, there could be power struggles, perhaps with siblings, with neighbors. Perhaps at this time, it could be people that are prominent in your short journeys at this time, but also guard against perhaps manipulative behavior, perhaps from connected with siblings, with neighbors, with cousins at this time. So anyway. Next thing up is the North Node will be in Leo. So the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Scorpio. So at this time, remember, when the North Node is in transit, the way this could manifest is having to deal with issues that need to be confronted and addressed. And in this case, it could be having to deal with perhaps an arrogant, domineering, bombastic, or overbearing dominant parent, which is often the father, or maybe an authority figure, perhaps. And also, too, this is about the time for Scorpio where he or she may be really demanding and commanding, trying to some kind of attention and recognition in their career, and really, and maybe even for things they might do for authority figures, and even the dominant parent, often the father. Also take about really being directed toward taking pride and dignity in the public image and the reputation at this time, in showing more generosity, perhaps with that dominant parent, and with really, and maybe even matters to your career, such as putting more time and effort into it and being magnanimous in that manner. So anyway, next thing up is the Black Moon Lilith will be in Capricorn still, so the 3rd house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, remember, when we're talking about the Black Moon Lilith, this could be about a revelation or unveiling, and this could be, in some cases, this could be about where it could be a Capricorn formidable adversary, a Cap Sun Moon Ascendant, or one that embodies Capricorn characteristics that may come out at this time. And it could be a sibling, a neighbor, someone prominent in your short journeys, or even someone you knew from your early education. This could be a time where perhaps a cousin, a sibling, a neighbor might be exhibiting very undemonstrative, ruthless, even tyrannical qualities, and very cold and callous qualities even. And this could also be a period for you, when you're talking about the Black Moon Lilith, could be a time where something becomes unveiled or revealed connected with you that you didn't want out of the bag, so to speak, but for whatever reason it does happen to come out. And this could be something where maybe it's a very restricting or limiting communication life you have, or maybe the connection with a sibling, with a cousin, with your neighbors are not very good, and there's something there that's causing despondency, or maybe you're going through some kind of despondency or even depression in some cases, considering you're talking about the 3rd house of the rational thinking, rational mind at this time. And also, too, this could also really be a time, too, where I mean, you're talking about something where really you're talking about Black Moon Lilith, and it could be a time where maybe somebody connected with the 3rd house that you know well is you're finding out something about them, that maybe they're using maybe their sexuality perhaps to try to attain career ambitions and success. So anyway, Next thing up is, last but not least, Chiron will be in Aries still. So for Scorpio, the sixth house is what is emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Scorpio, this could be, in some cases, this is the house you're talking about, the physical health. This could be literal injuries, perhaps to the head, the face. It could be something where you might be dealing more propensity for headaches than usual at this time. This could be about dealing with emotional wounds connected with lack of aggression and assertiveness in matters connected with work, employment, or maybe not having the courage maybe to stand up to an aunt or uncle, not being confrontational enough. And also too, I mean, it could be a time too where maybe pets might be becoming a figurative headache for you at this time. And really, remember, Aries energy could be about leadership, prowess, and ability. And it could be a time, too, where you might be having some kind of maybe difficulty in incorporating this, maybe at your place of employment, your daily routine. Maybe, really, and really remember, too, that we were talking about Chiron and Aries. The way this can manifest too, it's also about where one might feel some kind of sense of unworthiness. And because it's the sixth house, it might be in connection with an aunt or an uncle. Maybe there may be something with them that maybe you don't feel adequate enough to be connected with them, or feel that you're worthy of being a nephew to them. It could be something where perhaps maybe you don't feel as a worker, that maybe you don't fit in. You might feel like the outcast or feel left out, so to speak, or you don't feel competent enough as an employee. But remember that Chiron is the wounded healer. So in the areas that you might be having a difficulty connected with Chiron and in Aries and the sixth house, you could help others dealing with comparable situations with a lot of Aries like fortitude, courage, aggressiveness, assertiveness, and enterprise. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Scorpio June 2018 horoscope forecast. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be giving you my Sagittarius June 2018 horoscope forecast. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel, but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Till next time, people, stay well.